of you that doesn't know me, I already see a lot of familiar names in the group. My name is Cecilia Kramer. I'm the fellowship advisor of the School of Graduate Studies. My work at Concordia is to help you through the whole process of applying for these kind of scholarships, what we call external awards. If you're still a bit unsure where you should be applying, are you eligible for this or not? Catherine is the person that you should contact. Here you have her email address, or even in the book a meeting, you can click there and book a meeting with me, with Catherine, sorry. Once you have decided, then come to me. We can talk about the research proposal. We can talk about whatever I'm going to be mentioning in this session. We can talk more in detail about these things and more specific about your case. I'm going to talk a lot today. There's a lot of things that I want to share with you. Don't worry if it becomes too overwhelming, just stop me, ask the questions that you need to ask. This is for you. And you can go back to the recording anytime that you need. I will try to speak slow, but just raise your hand if you're feeling like a bit lost. So again, this specific workshop is for external awards for research-based programs. The two major agencies that I'm going to be talking today is the federal one and the provincial FRQ. The federal one, I'm only going to focus on NSERC, that is Natural Science and Engineering, and CIHR, Canadian Institute of Health Research, and the provincial counterpart, FRQNT and FRQS. Okay, I have other workshops, I have other videos that they talk more in detail about these awards, eligibility criteria, and all the things that you need to know beforehand. And here we're going to talk about how to create the application for these agencies. I created the main elements, the checklist for you to review at your own time. This is a good practice for you just to copy paste and then start checking, okay, I've done this, finish, 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 okay? The tri-agencies, masters, just a brief information. So NSERC or CIHR people that are applying for master's funding, the deadline is December 1st at 8 p.m. and the process is through the portal, okay? Here is the checklist. So you can screenshot, but you can also have the application at the end. You will see all the things that you need. I will leave it for you to review. For tri-agency doctoral, the deadline for NSERC and CIHR is September 29. That's the internal deadline. Again, you will have to submit the application directly to the agencies, NSERC and CIHR. This is the checklist for the NSERC. An NSERC doctoral application, it is online, it's through their portal. You need the application form, all these things. We're going to talk about all these things more in detail, but also screenshot on this one for you guys applying for this one. And this video that I created for you, creating an NSERC doctoral application. I gave you step-by-step on how to actually create the account, create the application, and apply, submit the first steps on creating the application, okay? I did the same thing for CIHR. Here is the checklist. We're gonna talk about a lot of these things, but you also have creating a CIHR doctoral application, same idea, step by step, how to create all this. For FRQ, the Fonds de Recherche du Québec, they also allow international students, that students admitted to a graduate program or students supported to a supervisor. The application deadline for FRQ is October 1st. Okay, again, FRQ masters, you have to submit all these things. We're going to talk about all of this in a second. You do not need letters of reference. And if you see for FRQ doctoral is the same application, they only allow you for more space. For FRQ, for some things, they will only allow you 2 pages or 1 page of the research proposal. For doctoral, you will have more space to write. There's a lot of information that I just shared. This is only information for you to review at your own time because we are going to be talking about all these things. Again, I have a video of how to create an FRQ application step by step. You go there and you review it on your own time.
Yeah, 2 questions in the chat box. The internal deadline is September 29th and not July 31st?
July 31st is for the PBEEE that it already passed. September 29 is the internal deadline for NSERC and CIHR. Can you, sorry,
yeah, please.
go.
No, you can read, don't worry.
Sorry. Can you apply to both NSERC and CIHR? No. So that's why I'm going to talk about this in a second here. Yes. Can you apply to tri-agency and FRQ the same year? Yes. Yes. And if you're eligible to apply to tri-agency and FRQ, please apply. Okay. Fatum, for example, she was applying for PBEEE July 31st, but you can also apply to FRQ doctoral, and you can also apply for tri-agency doctoral. Okay, so you can apply to all the agencies. Inside the agency, you have to choose. You have to choose NSERC or CIHR, and in FRQ, you have to choose FRQNT or FRQS. Okay, if you apply to both NSERC and CIHR, what the agency is going to do, they are just gonna review the application that you submitted first. The second one, they're just gonna delete it. So you have to only choose one. One in tri-agency and one in FRQ, and if you're eligible, apply. Okay, I hope that was clear because I will talk more about it in a second. So let's say you apply to both tri-agency and FRQ, and you get awarded both. Can you have both at the same time? No, you cannot, because that would be a lot of money, and the agencies, they have this quota, right? The cut. So one thing that is important to know is like, even if you get awarded both, but you cannot hold it at the same time, you can put it in your CV. You can say that you won these 2 awards, okay? Even if you have to say no to one of them. For PhD students, you can only have one of each, right? So the agencies, they have a maximum of 120,000, and they are not going to give you more than this. So if you get the tri-agency award, FRQ is not going to give you money because with tri-agency, you already have 120. If you have received a tri-agency master's award, that is 27. So FRQ will give you the extra to reach 40, but you cannot have more than 40K for 2 years. This is very confusing. Don't worry. The only thing that you should know is that you can apply to both of them. And it's kind of silly not to apply to both of them because we're going to see what are the things that you will be needing for these 2 competitions, tri-agencies on FRQ, and they are the same things. Okay, so here I put, research proposal. You can write the same research proposal to both agencies, the special circumstances. You will need transcripts for both of them. For tri-agency, you will need some sort of personal statements, but from those personal statements, you can create the 2 personal statements that you will need for FRQ, okay? So you are ready, if you're applying for tri-agency or for FRQ, you are already doing the work that you need to apply for the other one, okay? Tri-agency, the only thing that is extra that you won't need from FRQ is reference letters. That's the only thing that is a bit extra, okay? Screenshot, again, FRQ, Masters and PhD. I'm talking FRQ regular, Masters and regular PhD. I'm not talking about PBEEE, the one that is specific for international, no. FRQ Masters and FRQ Doctorals, October 1st. CIHR and NSERC Masters December 1st, and CIHR NSERC Doctoral internal deadline is September 29. The only competition that is not open right now is CIHR and NSERC Masters. All the other ones, you can already start getting the application ready. So things that you need to do before you begin. So for those of you that are already getting the application ready, maybe after this workshop and then everything that you hear today, go back to your application and see if all the things that I'm going to be saying today is in your application. So the first thing that you guys have to do is eligibility criteria. As I say, this is not the workshop to talk about criteria. I already have other ones, and here is the video if you're unsure. So any other question about eligibility criteria, I'm going to be sending you to this video or to book a meeting with Catherine, okay? The second thing that you need to do is to check the guidelines, okay? Because they are extremely, extremely specific. I made the work for you, and here I put the guidelines for each of these awards. Please pay attention to this, because if I see an application that is not following the guidelines, as a reviewer, I already have a negative bias against you. So this is the first thing that I want you to do. Each agency has their own specific, but they all require the following, okay? If you're using acronyms, the first thing that you mention them, you have to explain them. The letter size page, single space, please use single space. If you use 1.15 because it looks nicer or whatever, then you're losing the space to write. So use single space. The margins for FRQ, they will require margins of 2 centimeters. So it's not I think the default is 2.54. You are losing space. So set them for 2 centimeters, and for tri-agency is 1.87. My advice, set them for 2 centimeters and use the same research proposals for both agencies. And Times New Roman 0.12. This is very important. If you're using Times New Roman 0.11, I will disqualify you, okay? Because you're already trying to play a game. Okay, so the other thing that I want you to pay attention before starting to write is the selection criteria. You can find them on the website of each competition, and most of the students, they don't think that they are important, okay? They're extremely important. So each reviewer, when they are reviewing your application, will have these selection criteria next to them. And they will rank you according to these selection criteria, okay? So if the selection criteria, for example, here I put some examples, if they are gonna be taking advancement of knowledge, potential contribution, the interest in discovery. So you have to make sure that in your application, I can see all those things, okay? So you can also make a checklist. Okay, for this application, I will need to show motivation, passion, interest in research. It's like, okay, where can I put this? Where I can put my motivation? Maybe in a personal statement. Maybe I can talk about how I created a collaboration, because collaborations are important also. So all those things are necessary for you to think before applying for those things. And why is that? Because you're not writing for me. You're not writing for your colleague. You are creating this application for the reviewer, okay? So you have to convince the reviewers that you need to get the money to do this research. That's simple. Not to your supervisor, not to me, not to anyone, the reviewers. So who are going to be the reviewers? That's one of the questions that you have to ask before starting to apply for this one. Usually they are academic experts, but they're not necessarily in your research niche. They might be, for example, chemical engineers reviewing an application for biology. So they might not really know specific terms from your field. So this is something to keep in mind, because when you are writing, you have to try to get some distance from your research and try to think, okay, is someone that is not an expert in the field will understand it? So that's the level that you want to achieve. They are typically faculty members from different institutions or different disciplines. okay? They are often reviewing dozens or even 20, 30 applications. And most of them that I've been talking to, like they are getting the 20 applications and they are reviewing them like in 1 or 2 days. So they are moving fast. They have a short attention span. They are not going to be reading your application 3, 4 times to be able to understand it. Okay. They will just go read the application and move to the next one. So you have to cut them from the beginning. Okay. They might not be able to assess content accuracy, right? Because they are not an expert in the field, but they might be able to assess if it's clear, if there's coherence, if there's original, and if the research has some sort of impact. They may have community representatives depending on the award. In these 2 fellowships, no. In these 2 fellowships that we're talking, FRQ or tri-agencies, these are professors. And the reviewers are looking to be engaged, not to get bored. Maybe if you've already been in another workshop from me, I always say this example. Friday night, they are tired. They have been reading like 20 applications. They don't want to read more. So you have to create an application that for someone at that level, super tired, don't want to read anymore, but still will get engaged by what you are saying. So how do we write with the reviewer in mind? So of course you have to assume that someone is smart, but it's not a specialist. So you have to avoid to be too jargony, okay? And for NSERC people, this is very, very hard. Define key concepts clearly and early. Make your application easy to read. Use clear headings and structure. Start the paragraph with strong topic sentences and highlight key points with bold or formatting. We're going to see an example later on that it will really exemplify what I'm saying now. Respect their time. Be concise. Don't bury your main message and avoid repetition, okay? Avoid saying things many times because you are also losing space to say the things that you need to say. And engage. Don't just inform. Maybe something that you can also do is take some storytelling courses. I know that grad pro skills have some great storytelling. This is very important for you because when you're talking about your research in a terms of like funding, you're not writing a publication. You are doing storytelling, okay? So the main elements of an application. And this is now we are starting with the workshop that we need to do. Okay, so the main element of an application, CV, transcripts, reference letters, personal statements, and research proposal. We're going to talk about all of them, and we're going to see how to write all of them. Okay, so let's start easy, CV, and transcripts. For those of you guys applying for tri-agency masters, you will need to fill what is called the Canadian Common CV, the CCCV. It's super tedious. It's annoying. You can start doing it now. So once you fill something in the Canadian Common CV, it will stay there forever. So it's not that you need to fill it all the time. There is a specific template that is CCS Masters. So now I think I have a workshop specific talking about how to complete the Canadian Common CV. So I will put the link here and you will see, and here are the explanations of how to access that template. Start filling out because they will ask you for everything. CIHR doctoral people, you also need a Canadian Common CV, the CCCV, also with a specific template that is CIHR academic. So here you have the steps to get to that template, and then click load and then start filling things out. For the people filling out the Canadian Common CV, everything matters. So you don't really have limitations. So if you have experience in work experience, professional experience, internship, publications, everything has to be in the Canadian Common CV. Okay, don't feel like, oh, but I work as a bartender 3 years ago. that's also professional experience. So you add it, okay? Just add everything. For those of you applying for PhD and NSERC, you do not need a Canadian Common CV. The NSERC doctoral, the CV is embedded in the form, that is the form 201. That's the name of the application that you will have to submit. So you do not need the Canadian Common CV, and they will ask you specific questions that will be the CV. FRQ, and I will say it as many times as I need, FRQ do not require Canadian Common CV and do not require a FRQ CV, okay? So if you go and create an application for FRQ, that I have a video for that, this is the first thing that you're gonna do see once you create the application, okay? So this is a step before. Here you see create demand, so this is the step before. Here, it will tell you the deadline, and it will say no CV is required for this program. Okay, so no CV is required for this program. Okay, so again, it's the same as NSERC. All the things that they will see as a CV, they will be asked in the online form. So that's it for the CV. Someone has a question about that? Okay, so for transcripts. Maybe some of this, they will accept an official transcripts. For example, tri-agency masters, they might accept an official transcript for Concordia. They have to be clearly stated, but if not, official transcripts are the rule, okay? I'm telling you right now, FRQ will only accept official transcripts, okay? If you are applying to FRQ Masters or Doctoral and you submit an unofficial transcript, you are disqualified, okay? And they are requiring up to date. What up to date means? Means that we need to see the courses that you are registered in the current semester, okay? It doesn't matter if you don't have grades. We need to see if you are already in the program or if you are in any program that you're registered, we need to see the name of the semester, so fall 2025, and we need to see the courses that you are registered. Again, we're not gonna see your grades, but we need to see that, okay? Also, let's say you're applying for PhD funding, but you graduated from your undergrad in 2018. So that was like years ago. You have the official transcript from your bachelor, your undergrad. Do you need to request another one? No. No. If you already have your bachelor official transcript and nothing happened in that degree, the degree is already closed, then that's up to date. That official transcript is up to date. You don't need to require or request a new one, okay? If you apply to Concordia, I have access to your transcripts. So if you don't want to request a new official transcript from your home university because it takes a lot of time, it takes money, so come and talk to me and I can try to download it and send it to you. And one important note, when you request a transcript from Concordia, it says not valid if opened by students. Don't pay attention to that. I am giving you the power to don't read that because you have to open the envelope, you have to scan it, and you have to upload it. You do not have to send the official transcript to us for us to open it and scan it. No, you have to request it, get it, open it, and scan it because in the application, you have to send it. Okay, so my advice to you, order official transcripts now. I'm telling you, last year, many students, they couldn't apply for FRQ because they didn't get the official transcript on time. And that's a shame because you have been doing so much work that it makes no sense to miss the deadline because you don't have the official transcript. Let's talk about reference letters. This is only for NSERC and CIHR masters and doctorals. This is not for FRQ, okay? Again, FRQ do not need reference letters, only tri-agencies, okay? So the tri-agencies are requesting 2 reference letters, and they are way more important than what we think, okay? So the 2 reference letters, you have to think about the people that know you from different perspectives when you are thinking about your referees. One should be able to speak highly about your academic achievements, and the other one maybe more about your personal achievements. Let's assume that you spend many years in the industry, and now you're coming back to academia. Yes, it will be great to have someone talking about academia, but also don't dismiss your professional work, your professional experience. So you can also get a reference letter from someone from the industry, okay? Because that will give you a whole idea of who you are. These people that are reviewing the application, I didn't say, but I always say the same, they're not going to fund only a research proposal. They're going to fund a person, okay? And they want to know who you are and what are your different skills in terms of research, in terms of leadership, in terms of professional community involvement. So you really have to showcase all these different aspects of you. So one of the things to do, know the program and know the people. I always make the same example. When I was doing my postdoc, we knew that my supervisor was not good at giving good reference letters. Even if he was a great guy, but he was not writing strong reference letters. So we always try to avoid him. We always try to go for a collaborator, or we always try to maybe a previous supervisor, okay? So really try to get a sense of how these people work. Try talking. If you're in the lab, maybe someone around you, they might have some of this information. One of the things also you have to think is like, are they well known in the field? So what we want to achieve is someone that is very well known in the field, but someone that also knows you very, very well. If you have someone that is very well known in the field, but he can write a very vague reference letter, that's not really a good idea. You should help them, okay? Writing a good reference letter takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. Today is August 5th. The deadline for tri-agencies doctoral is September 29. I think today will be a very good time for you to approach your referees. Give them a month and a half to write the reference letter. First, because they might be vacations and maybe they are coming back in 2 weeks, or maybe they want to do it as soon as possible. So allow them time to do this, okay? You can ask earlier, and once you ask to your referees, copy the relevant guidelines for the programs. Usually these programs have guidelines also for referees, okay? So look for them, copy, make a summary, and send that to them. Send them your CV, your publications. If you already have a draft or a research proposal, send that research proposal to them. Invite them for a quick chat if they want to talk about something. Offer ideas, okay? You can easily say, a bullet point thing of all the things that you think it will be good to add in your reference letter. It sounds weird, but they usually are going to be thankful for that. Another thing to say, an okay reference letter is a bad reference letter, okay? We are really aiming to get something that is personalized, something that is talked about specifics about you. The last thing I'm going to say about reference letters is when you get an award, let your referees know. And if you don't get the award, also let them know, because it's polite and it creates a good network for you. And maybe the next time that you also need a reference letter, they will be more open in helping you.
True.
Okay, let's move. Personal statements. So personal statements, I say personal statements. Sorry. Yes, even if you don't have grades. I already explained this. On the transcript, we will see the courses that you are enrolled, even if you don't have grades. They will show up in the transcript. Okay, go back to personal statements. I say personal statements, everything that is not a research proposal. Simple as that. Everything else that you have to write, they can be and take different names. I here put the information for all the awards that we're talking. I think it's August 22nd. I have a special workshop about personal statements, and we talk about what to include in each of them. I will have examples of how to write each of them. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that, because I think for this workshop, it's more important to talk about the research proposal. But these are also important because, as I mentioned, many of these awards, they will not have a CV, like a specific CV. So these personal statements are the ones that you're going to be using to showcase who you are and your experience. Okay. NSERC and CIHR masters do not have any personal statements. So the only thing that you may want to write is the research proposal. Well, you have to write this research proposal and the special circumstances. We're going to talk about that in a second. NSERC doctoral, they allow a maximum of 2 pages, and it's divided in 3. Okay, so the first one, contributions to research and development. And then, so you have to do a list of all papers, publications, peer review or non-peer review contributions, patents, copyrights, industry relevant activities. So really, really think about all the experience that you have and you mention them. The second part, you have to choose up to 3 and explain them. And when you're explaining them, really highlight everything that you need from that experience. More and more the reviewers are adopting DORA. DORA is this, I don't know else, but the idea of DORA is like the reviewers don't have to pay attention to the impact factor of the journals. They have to pay attention more about the content, because the DORA is understanding that the impact factor of a journal is not the only indicator of the quality of the research. So let's assume you have a research that it was in a low impact factor journal, but thanks to that, you were called by different media. You did a blog, you did this, or it has a lot of hits, it has a lot of or you started a collaboration thanks to that publication. So that's also relevant. So you should talk about that. And then finally, an applicant statement where you can talk and really describe your research experience and relevant activities. For CIHR, what they will require is 2 pages of training expectations. So CIHR doctoral is a bit of a tricky application. We will see in a second. They will only ask you for a 1-page research proposal, but they will allow you 2 pages of these training expectations. Here, you have to describe not only your journey, but also why you chose Concordia or the program that you're going to be doing, your passion, what you want to do in the future, what are you expecting to gain from this PhD program. So yes, so really, really think about all the things that you may not want to add in the research proposal, because you can put it here. For example, if you're using a specific technique and you don't have the space to write it in the research proposal, maybe you can use this personal statement to talk about it, okay? To give, yes, you're going to be learning this technique and explain it to me. So that will release some aspects from your research proposal, so you can write it in the training expectations. I'm not going to be talking so much about this. FRQ, masters and doctorals. For FRQ, they are going to be requiring the same papers, only the amount of space is different. So relevant experience and achievements for masters FRQ is 2 pages, and for doctorals is 4 pages. List and describe the experience and achievement that have helped you develop your interest and potential for research. So basically, this is an expanded CV. Again, you will give all the information, bullet point style, but then you're going to explain to me. You want to describe each experience, okay? And finally, for FRQ, you will have to write the integrated presentation of academic background. This is a one-page PDF for both masters and doctorals. This specific file is not going to be ranked, okay? There's no evaluation criteria for this. You're not going to have, the reviewers are not going to be adding any points for this. This file is to get to know you. As I say, these agencies, they're going to not only fund the research, but also they're going to fund the person. So this is a very important file for you to get the empathy of the reviewer, to explain who you are, where you're coming from, what are your goals, what's your motivation, why you chose the program or the research that you're doing. So if there's some file that you need to explore the storytelling aspect, is this one, okay? So why am I saying storytelling so much? When you're working with me and you have to write these personal statements, Mariana, give me a second, I will get your question at the end. You will see that all the narrative really depends from person to person. Why is that? Because, as I say, these personal statements are the ones that you're going to showcase who you are. So I'm not going to be changing that. That really depends on the person. But I do have some tips that I want you to think about it when you are writing all these things. First, ask yourself, how did my profile fit with what the competition is looking for? Okay, what are the reviewers wanted from me? What do I have to showcase to the funding agency to really convince them that you are a good match for them? Okay, so really align your narrative with the funding priorities. Quebec, I'm not saying that Quebec is going to fund research done in Quebec for Quebecers, no, but you have an idea that maybe Quebec will FRQ. I'm saying it will be more prone to fund people that want to stay in Quebec, that want to become part of the Quebecois community. So maybe this is something that, you know, like you're learning French or you're here embedded in Montreal thanks to the diversity. So those are the values that you might want to think about it. Use storytelling to bring motivation and values to life. So if I see an application that is just bullet points, I get bored. I don't get to know you. I don't know who you are. So don't just list all the achievements. Show the experience that you have. Show the experience that you gain in that, or the skills that you learn that you're going to be using for your program now. Okay? Use the personal statements again to show the reviewers why you are a compelling candidate and how you're ready to take on a leadership role, not only in the research, but also outside in the community, okay? Highlight your strengths and use an active voice. It's not that whatever just happened. No, you made that happen. So if you already wrote these statements, go back and read them and see if you sound humble or you sound a bit arrogant, or because I'm pretty sure that you are sounding more humble than arrogant. Most of the students, they don't really use this active voice, but you need to own what you have done. If there's any weakness, for example, there's a low GPA in your first courses or whatever, don't highlight them, but we're going to see them. So maybe you can tell me like, yes, this happened and now I'm here. Or yes, I started this bachelor, but then I realized that this was not my true passion and I moved and I start doing this other bachelor, or I changed my career, or I did this bachelor and then I did a master in something that's completely different. That's a huge strength, even if you see it as a weakness. Everything that you see as a weakness, I promise you, you come and talk to me and we're going to develop it and we're going to show them as a strength. So all these things, they can show how you face challenge and how you transform this challenge into meaningful accomplishment. And then demonstrate the impact of your actions. How have you contributed, shape, or benefit academic and non-academic community? The last personal statement that I want to mention is special circumstances. All the awards that I'm mentioning, they have this section of special circumstances. They are called different ways, but here applicants are encouraged to explain any circumstances that have played a role in shaping their path. Okay, reviewers have to pay attention to this. Here I highlighted it can be administrative responsibilities, health problems, family responsibilities, trauma, loss, pandemic impact. Like if you have low GPA in a semester, you want to explain me why, go for it. If you have a gap between your bachelor and your master's because you needed to work to pay your studies, talk about it. Anything that shows who you are and your motivation, what made you come here at this stage, explain that to me, okay? Really use this special circumstances letter if you want or you have to explain something. Okay, let's talk about the research proposal. I'm sorry if I'm talking so much, but as you see, you will have a lot of work to do, guys, for applying for this one. Don't get overwhelmed, but get focused. Okay, so the research proposal. Yes, this is extremely important. Like I know personal statements are also important, so I don't want them to leave you at the end. So, but yes, research proposal is something new that you have to generate. The personal statements is your CV, is what you have already done. So it's going to be easier for you. Getting the transcripts, you just need to get the transcripts. Research proposal is when I need you to focus, okay? So for those applying to NSERC, master's is 1 page and 1 page bibliography. For those applying for PhD, NSERC is 2 pages and 5 pages of references. The references is bibliography. So let's not get confused. Many, like the agencies, use it in a different way. CIHR Masters is also 1 page and 1 page bibliography. CIHR PhD is 1 page, including references. Okay, so only 1 page. FRQNT, master's 1 page, PhD 2 pages. And in both cases, only 1 page of references. And the same for FRQS, doctoral 2 pages, master 1 page. Okay. Here I copy what is in the agency's website. All of them, they say the same. Should be written in general scientific language. Okay. Potential to contribute to the advancement of knowledge, clarity and coherence, the relevance of the methodology, the feasibility of the project. All these things have to be there. So on your time, read this again and make sure that all these things are here. We're going to see how to make them. So most of you, you might have experience writing a scientific paper, but this is not a scientific paper. This is a research proposal. The research proposal is not about the findings that you already found. It's about the future research. It's not about the data. It's not about the methodology and the results. It's not about the results because you haven't done the research yet. What is more important is the justification and the relevance of the proposal, the relevance of the research question that you have. Okay, when I go and read a scientific paper, I'm already in the field. So usually I don't read the introduction. I go straight to methodology because I don't need it, because I already know this. So it might be super heavy on jargon because I'm already an expert in the field. For a research proposal, this is not heavy on jargon. People that will read this, they might have no idea what's going on in your field. Okay, scientific paper will contribute to new knowledge. When the research proposal, the importance is the feasibility, okay, and convince the scholarship committee that the research is relevant, okay. Scientific paper, of course, written after the research. The research proposal is what's going to happen in the future. And again, the importance focuses on the potential impact, okay. Main aspects, we're going to talk more in detail about all the different sections, but it is about the period during which the award will be held or your research or your program. So if you're telling me that you're going to be doing a PhD, you cannot give me a research proposal that you're going to be doing in 1 year, because then it's like, what's happening? If you have several different projects in your PhD, and then I'm remembering Ramit's a question about writing 2 research proposals, maybe you have 2 research projects. Okay, you can choose one, but you have to convince me that that research project is what is going to happen during your PhD. And it's enough information for me to know and to convince me that this is going to be taking 3 to 4 years to accomplish. Okay, as I say it, and I will say it again, it has to be non-jargony. It has to be clear for the not general audience, but for the general scientific community. You have to have a background, objectives. I'm moving this very fast because we're going to see this, methodology, significance, and citations. My advice to you, write. And I say write without fear, edit without mercy, write. Okay. The first thing that you want to do is to put all your ideas in papers. My advice is also to talk. Once you start talking, the ideas come more clear. So talk to yourself, talk to someone around you. Even if they don't understand you, you will start getting this storytelling idea that I'm telling you, because when we talk, the information flows a bit different. Think who your reviewers will be, because those are going to be reviewing the application and ranking you. And all the materials have to be clear, concise, coherent, and compelling. What does it mean? Clear, a colleague should be able to read it. So if you have a supervisor, it's a very, very, very good idea that your supervisor reads your application and helps you in write the application. If you don't have a supervisor, you can use a professor, you can use someone that is already in the field. These people are going to be able to give you an idea of the idea is good, what you're proposing, but then a colleague should be able to read it. Someone, let's say you're a PhD student, maybe a master or a research assistant that just started in the lab, should be able to understand your proposal. Or maybe someone that you did your bachelor with, someone that is in the field, kind of, but not really an expert. Respect the page, the word, the margin limit. Again, read the guidelines. Balance the weight between the sections. We're going to talk about this. It has to be coherent. You have to answer the why you're doing this, how you're going to be doing it, when are you going to be doing it. Okay, so all those questions has to be answered and compelling. Okay, when you're writing this, it's like you are the right person, asking the right questions with the right tools, in the right ways, with the right researchers at the right institution. All those things have to be in the research proposal. Okay. So how do we start writing this thing? I will say it again. This is a quote that I really like, and I always put it in my workshops. Seasoned grant reviewers will admit to making up their minds on the very first page of the proposal and rarely change their posture as they read the rest of the document. In your case, it will be the first sentences of your research proposal. Again, you are writing for a reviewer that is not an expert in your field, and it's a Friday night, and they're tired and they already read 20 proposals before yours. You have to cut them from the beginning. Okay? So the first thing, you have to explain to me why the research is relevant. If you start telling me what you're going to be doing, but I don't understand why this is necessary to be done, I will lose it. Okay. So the first thing that I want to read when I read the proposal is you convincing me that we have a problem. Okay. There is a problem right now. We have to address this problem. So that's what's the context and the background. I will say 20, 30% of the proposal. So if you are a master student, just a small paragraph, go straight to the point, okay? I always say, don't open too many windows, because if those windows then they're not assessed, my mind keeps like, why they are mentioned this? We have a problem. You are giving me all the information that I need to understand the problem. No more than that, okay? So all the ideas that help set up the work, that they are important. If there's a gap in the literature, or there's people doing this and this, but no one is doing that. That's the gap, right? So point it out. All the ideas that are critically needed to understand your question, okay? As I say again, avoid bringing up ideas that are not addressed. And something, I don't know if I put it here. No, something that I will highlight, start with a strong statement that sets the importance of the proposal. Going back to this quote that I just mentioned, I will highlight this again. Start with a strong statement that sets the importance of the proposal. Why is that? I'm a reviewer, I'm tired. I read the research proposal. The first sentence caught my attention. I was like, okay, I will keep reading. Let's see, what is this? Why we have this problem? If I start getting bored, then you are lost, okay? So I know that many students, they go back and it's like, okay, I need to write a strong statement. Maybe the strong statement of the proposal is the last thing that you're going to write. You need to have all the idea of the proposal, how the proposal is going to be looking like, and then maybe the last thing that you will do, refining some things and work on the strong statement, okay? Here, I put some examples. And just to give you an idea, for example, I will move this because I cannot read. So the first example say relying on the power of digitalization that enables flexibility in terms of production volume and customization, Industry 4.0 manufacturing systems can unlock new opportunities for upgrading and renovating Canada's manufacturing sector to meet the growing demand. Sorry, I will mute people. So what I wanted to say with that, if you read it back on your own time, you can see that in the first sentence, we understood everything that the student wants to do. They're going to be talking about manufacturing system. You're going to be talking renovating Canada's manufacturing sector and the Industry 4.0. Okay, so air engines play a pivotal role in both transportation and defense industry. Ensuring the optimal performance and reliability is of paramount importance. So we already know what's the content, what's the proposal is going to be talking about. Okay, so the first sentence already has to give the reviewer at ease, understanding, okay, this is going to be talking about this. There's no more surprises. They might be, okay, you're talking me more, but the stage is already set. So that's what I want you to try to achieve with this first sentence. Another thing that I want to mention here is these two things that I highlight. Industry 4.0. The student is going to be talking all the time about Industry 4.0. So this is an acronym that they will use many, many times. So he already put it in the first sentence. The second student, health monitoring, is going to be very important in their research acronyms. They are already explained. Only the ones that you're going to be using, right? If you're not going to be using acronyms anymore, don't put it. And the second thing that I want to mention here, in-text citations or references. There are many ways to add in-text citations. The only thing that these agencies, they will ask you is to be consistent. So the first student is not very consistent, but the third one, I think it's a very good idea here to use superscripts. I don't remember what's the name. I never remember the style of the in-text reference, but use the one that you feel more comfortable. But we need to have references all over the research proposal. Every statement that you're giving me, it has to be backed up by a reference, okay? So, for example, NSERC, they will allow you 5 pages for doctoral. So really, you have a lot of space. For CIHR, doctoral, not so much. So really think about your references that they have to be adequate. You cannot start referencing whatever, right? It has to be adequate. I always say the same. When we're talking about the context, we start broad and then we bring the information to what is important, the main goal, the research question, okay? So all the information that you're giving me in the context, it has to lead me to understand that question that you have. It has to be clear, it has to be focused, and it has to be aiming to investigate and providing a foundation for developing what's coming next, the methodology, okay? So again, here's an example, and this is a very clear example of how to use bold and how to write in a way that it's at ease for the reviewer. My research project will address this gap by answering the following research question. And then it goes with the research question. Okay, this is very clever because as a reviewer, I don't have to start, oh, this is the research question, or maybe it's just an idea. No, you're telling me this is my research question. Go and read it. Okay, so I don't have to be looking for it in the text. You're already talking and mentioning it. So the research question is your main goal. So then we need the objectives, right? So the research question can be 1, 2 sentences, and it's a global question, it's a global goal. So how do we reach there? With baby steps. So the baby steps to reach to your main question is the objectives, okay? That will give me the outlines of the theoretical or the experimental approach. Make them clear, concise. And I always advise maybe to enumerate your objective. I think it's a good idea because it will be easier for the reviewers to remind them and to connect them with your methodology. So the research question has to be answered by the methodology, right? So how do you answer that? By answering all these objectives. If I have objective number 1 will be this, and then objective number 2 will be this, then I can easily go to the methodology and say, okay, for achieving objective number 1, I will be doing this. Same, objective number 2, I will be doing this. So in the reviewer mind, it will have a clear understanding of what's going to happen. And it doesn't have to go back and think, okay, what's the research question? What's like, it will be really, really clear for them. So again, maybe 10, 20% of your proposal, small paragraph. You can have 2, 3, 4 objectives, but don't go crazy. They will set up how and what you're going to be doing next. Again, I put examples here. No, I didn't highlight it. So here you have, well, I didn't mention hypotheses, but you can also add hypotheses. Hypothesis is not extremely necessary for many researchers. For NSERC, maybe it is. You have already an idea of what the outcome might be, or even if you have a hypothesis, you can add it. Some of the research are more exploratory, so it's not quite necessary. What is more important is the research question and the objectives. So this student, for example, I hypothesize and it provides a hypothesis. To test my hypothesis, I will utilize the techniques. And then it goes, my research involves 3 major aims. Aim number 1, investigate the role. And then it continue, aim number 2, aim number 3, clear, okay? So all these examples, I will share them with you so you can read them on your own time. So I have a question actually that came up in the chat that I will stop. Thank you for stopping because I feel that I'm reading so much. So the question is, if some of the objectives are already achieved, resulting in a journal paper, should we mention the completion of this task in the proposal? Yes, that's a very good idea because let's say you are in your 2nd or 3rd year of your PhD, or you were doing your master and then you fast track to your PhD. The research, it might be already moving forward. So as I say, the research proposal has to focus on the research that you're going to be doing in the future, right? In the time that you have left. So I wouldn't focus a lot in the objectives that you have already achieved, but you can explain to me. You can say, this is the research context, this is the research question, objective 1, 2, 3, and you can say even like objective 1 has already been achieved in summer 2025, and that's it. But you will need to explain to me because I do need to understand the whole proposal. But in no case you made the whole proposal talking about your results. No, you tell me about the objective and you tell me this objective is already achieved. Or you can tell me objective 1, blah, 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 preliminary results have already been, again, achieved for this objective. So you can mention it. One important aspect of all this, we're going to talk about this in a second, is a timeline. So when you add in a timeline in the proposal, you are giving me an idea of how this is going to happen or how it happens. So if you say objective 1 and you in a bracket already achieve in summer 2025, that's it. I already, and then objective 2, say winter 2026, that's a timeline, and that's already something that you are showing me that it's already happened. Another thing that I will mention, Mohammed, is like what you have to convince the reviewers is that this is feasible. Like you have the tools to do this. And if you tell me the objective 1 is already being achieved, you are showing me that this proposal is feasible already. So that shows even something better. So you have your objectives set up. How you're going to be answer these questions. So the objectives, the research question, the objectives, and the methodology, they really have to be linked. Okay. So why you're doing this, the context, what are you doing, the objectives, how you're going to be doing this. So the methodology have to be clearly explained. It has to, if you need to cite work, if you're using a technique that has already been used in another papers, you can do the citation, but you have to explain me the technique. So what I put at the end, we still need the reviewers to understand what you will do, but more importantly, that you know what you will be doing. If you're copy pasting a technique from a paper, but you're not explaining to me the technique, as a reviewer, I'm like, does the student know what it's going to do, or it's just copy pasting numbers and formulas and that's it? No, you have to explain it. What are the things that you're going to measure? What are the variables that you're going to be taking into account? As I say, make sure it's feasible. If you are collecting data, are you using some statistics to analyze the data? How are you going to be analyzing the data? Are you expecting any contingencies? You can mention that maybe this technique is going to fail. I have this backup plan. I have a plan B. I always say you don't have a lot of space, right? And I'm not going to ask you to explain to me the technique per se. Like I'm not going to need to understand the step-by-step of the technique, but I do want to understand why you're using the technique. I don't know if this is going to help, but when I was studying, I was studying neuroscience, and I was using this technique that is called DREAD. I can explain you step by step. We put the virus carries this receptor, the receptor is injected in the cells start producing this receptor, and then I activate the receptor with the injection of TNO. You don't need that to understand my research. The only thing that if I say I will use DREAD as a technique to activate neurons, that's it. Okay, so you understand more, you understand that I understand what I'm doing with the technique, so I don't need to go step by step on the technique that I'm going to be using. I hope this was clear, because for people that are working in more engineering departments, it's very, very hard for you guys to really explain what you're going to be doing. So I always say, for the jargon, if you want to give me a sentence that is very technical and is very full of like things that I don't know what you're saying, then after that, provide a sentence that is more for the general audience and explains to me what you're achieving from that technique. What are you getting from that technique? With this, I will be able to measure X and Y variables. Okay? And the methodology. So here it's a huge paragraph. You can read it on your own, because I highlighted some things that I want you to pay attention to. So this student, he was very clever. Again, study 1, it was objective 1, And this student is explaining everything. Here, I highlight a few things that I think for a methodology, they have to be there. They have the technique. They are using EEG. They have the subjects. In this case, they are using 20 musicians and 20 non-musicians. So we have the control group and the group that is going to be analyzed. They have the variables, okay? In this case, they're going to be giving the musicians some noise and pink noise, blah, blah, blah. So the variables that are going to be assessing, they have the analysis that they're going to be doing and the possible outcome. So every time that you're talking and you're measuring, like you're mentioning the methodology, all these things, they have to be there. The technique that you're using, why the technique is used, the subject, the variables, the analysis, and the possible outcome. Of course, we're not going to have results here, okay? You may have results if you already did this, and then you mention it very briefly saying like this has already been achieved and we found one sentence, okay? And that's it. Any questions about methodology? We can talk more if you want, or we're good. It's clear, it's understandable. Clear? Okay, and the last section, okay, you talk about methodology, the last part, significance. What will it accomplish? At the end, and this is 10, 20% of the proposal. This is not 2 sentences. You have to give me a good paragraph about why. So why this was important? As I say, you start strong. At the beginning, you finish strong. You finish the proposal with this idea of the reviewer saying like, this was cool. Okay, yes, we need this. So you have to, circle back to this big picture, how your results are going to be not only helping the research field, but also the community. So try to think outside the box. Try to think what are the wider society benefits. Okay. So even if your research is about how one cell connects to the other one, this might have an impact in any maybe in the future research that is studying dementia or this studying this. So really, really think about how your research is going to impact the community. Here I have a student. So this is a big paragraph. So this is what we're looking like, something that is very, very tangible. This student was very, very clever also because he divided the significance in 3 different sections, the primary innovation in terms of social impact and from an environment perspective, okay? So it's not only giving you, yes, we are going to solve the gap in research. We're also going to have some social impact and also environmental impact as well. Okay, so really, really try to think outside the box when you're writing these things. Questions about this? I talk a lot. Okay, I have a few other things that I want to mention when we are writing the research proposal and other considerations that I think are important. Citations, as I mentioned, they have to be in text citations. They have to be a realistic timeline. If their ethics approval requires, the references are adequate. It's not heavy on jargon. It mentions EDI aspects, okay? Even if your research is about something that's specific, I don't know, about materials, okay, are there some EDI considerations that you need? Maybe your research is gonna impact some community, some specific community, and it follows the competition guidelines. This is something that I wanted to show you. This is the draft of the first draft of an application, and this is the second, the final. What I want for you to see here is how well organized. Don't read it if you want it. I just want you to feel yourself as a reviewer. And when you're reading the first one on the left, this is a chunk of text. I'm already tired, and this is like daunting, and there's no breaks, and it's horrible. When you go to the one on the right, you can see that you have headings, context, hypothesis and objectives, methodology, significance and feasibility. This is easy for a reviewer to understand. What am I reading? I'm reading the context. Good. I'm on methodology. Okay, good. I'm checking on the methodology. So please try to use that, even if it's single space, maybe leaving some space in here or even some indentation that will break the paragraphs. It will make a huge difference for the reviewers. Always ask for feedback. Please ask at different stages, early, mid, and late, at least 3 times. And for many people, as I say, your supervisor, maybe another colleague, you can use me as well. All the feedback that people will tell you, you don't have to implement it. But if everyone is telling you the same feedback, maybe it's a good idea for you to listen. Okay. But stay true to what you are and stay true to your voice. This is your application, okay? Get the feedback, analyze it, think if it makes sense, and then use the one that you think that will strengthen your message, okay? AI, guys, another consideration, yes or no? Come on, we are all using some sort of Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you want to use. We all use it. There's no shame on that. This is another tool, but don't use it passively. Okay. If you are copy pasting things from AI, I know, and I've been reading so many applications that I can tell. And we have a AI detector. Yes, I would say 90% of the times I hit it. There's no bad thing of using AI, and there's nothing bad like I'm reading something, it's like, maybe this is AI generated. There's no bad, but you are you're not using your own voice, so you're missing something in the application. Another thing is like if you're copy pasting, and I'm not kidding you, this year I have to return 3 different applications from 3 different students from 3 different departments that they started the research proposal with the same words. Okay, so it doesn't look good. So if you are using AI, rewrite it, maintain your voice. I always use it, I say improve. So if I have a sentence that I've been fighting with that sentence, I was like, okay, try to improve this by making it more casual or make it more professional. So just use it for those things. For us internationals that maybe English is not our first language, yes, okay, check the grammar, check like if there's some word that we don't really use it for that. But don't ask AI to write your statements or your research proposal. I already say all that. Extra to keep in mind, FRQ, all the uploads in FRQ can be in English. So there's no need for you to freak out with the French, but FRQ doctorals will need to to put a abstract in French, okay? There is a French translation services at Concordia, but you cannot use it. You have to use it through your supervisor or through me. So if you're applying to FRQ doctoral and you want me to translate your abstract, send it to me and I can send it to the translation services with time. I will not accept after September 15, I will not accept any abstract to be translated. Okay, so deadline is October 1st. September 15 is my last day to receive abstracts to be translated for FRQ. Questions? I lost everyone in the audience already. Too much information. Okay, so I just created this timeline. I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to leave it for you to start taking what are the things that you need to be doing. The only thing that I'm going to talk about this is don't wait until the last minute to submit the applications. The system crashed. FRQ around October 1st is going to be useless. I'm telling you already. Do not wait until October 1st to apply to FRQ. Do it a few or even a week before, okay? NSERC and CIHR also, they have issues like give yourself a week before, okay? And there's a lot of resources. I just wanted to mention this one that we just received it today. These are all NSERC Q&A info sessions that NSERC per se is going to be holding. So if you have any specific question that I haven't answered here or that we don't know at Concordia, you can come and you can talk to NSERC representatives. There's no need to register. You just can click the session. So you will have this once we share the slides. All the information, most of the information that I share, it's in the external funding website. If you go here on the right bottom, you have this other website that we try to put all the information here. You have how to book a meeting with Catherine or with me here. You have the list of all the videos that I've been creating to help you apply for this one. And even you have a frequently asked questions section. These are the next workshops. So today we are in August 5. Today we are here, okay? August 22nd, I don't have it. There's a workshop for how to write the personal statement. So if you're feeling a bit lost with that, come to that workshop. So from today, my next workshop of the series is improving peer review exercises. That is September 11, okay? So from today to September 11, where the workshop of peer review is you getting feedback from your application with another colleague, I want you to work on the research proposal, okay? You can book a meeting with me in 1 week, in 2 weeks. You can send me your draft. We can work on it. If there's something that is confusing, book a meeting with me right away. I am giving a limit, 2 to 3 meetings per person because I'm getting super overbooked. Plan ahead. Today is August 5. Let's say you have a month and a half to get the application ready. It's totally doable, okay? But start working on that.